Scotland is not a place that makes you gasp at first sight. There is no glamour, no bright lights, no need to say wow to prove its value. If you only pass through, Scotland may feel quiet, slow, even closed off. But that quietness is its greatest paradox. The longer you stay, the more you begin to sense something difficult to name. Not a beauty on display, but the feeling that everything is exactly where it belongs, solid, resilient, and without the need for explanation. In Scotland, no one tries to impress. Old stone streets, grey rooftops, and people of few words. They don't talk much about themselves, yet you can feel how firmly they stand in their own lives, calm, grounded, and self-possessed. Scotland moves slowly, but it is not weak. Life here flows with order and quiet rhythm, steady enough to make you wonder how a place that never rushes can feel so secure. In this video, we slow down and observe the people, the spaces, and the truths hidden behind that silence. If you're drawn to journeys that don't need to wow you right away, stay until the end. 1. What kind of country is Scotland? Scotland is a country within the United Kingdom, yet it has never dissolved into it. Politically connected, yes, but culturally and emotionally, Scotland stands on its own. This is a land that carries its history quietly, without needing constant affirmation, and that quiet confidence shapes everything beneath the surface. Geographically, Scotland is wrapped by the sea on nearly all sides. Water is never far away. The coastline, the wind, the cold air moving in from the North Atlantic, all of it encourages a way of life that turns inward. People here learn early to rely on themselves, to be self-contained, to value depth over display. Independence is not a slogan. It's a habit. With a population of just over 5 million, Scotland remains a relatively small society. Communities are closer. Institutions feel nearer. Power culture and daily life are more visible, more tangible. There is less chaos, less noise, and fewer layers separating people from the systems they live within. Order here is not enforced loudly, it's absorbed naturally. And it is within this compact space shaped by sea history and restraint that Scottish character is formed. A character that does not bend easily. A character that speaks less but means more. And it is precisely in this small, contained environment that Scottish people, especially Scottish women, are shaped in a very different way. 2. Scottish women, the beauty of reality. Scottish women are not raised to fit a soft or decorative ideal. They grow up in an environment shaped by harsh weather, heavy history, and a society that values responsibility over display. Their straightforwardness is not a choice, it is a way of surviving. They speak their minds without detours, without embellishment, and without the need to please. Their independence does not come from loud declarations or dramatic statements. It lives in ordinary moments, the way they walk through the city alone, the way they make decisions, and the way they stand firm against social pressure without seeking constant approval. They do not live to be noticed, and that is precisely what makes them quietly distinctive. The beauty of Scottish women does not come from careful styling or the effort to impress. It comes from self-possession, from being shaped by cold winds, gray skies, and a history that taught resilience. It is the beauty of someone who knows who she is, knows where she stands, and feels no need to explain it to the world. Compared briefly with American women, often open, energetic, and expressive, Scottish women are more reserved, more restrained. They don't move quickly toward you, but if they stay, the impression stays too. Not bright or loud, but steady, enduring, and hard to forget. 3. Women's freedom and the social gaze. In Scotland, as in many parts of the world, familiar debates still exist. A woman going to a bar alone, a woman walking home late at night, a woman sitting quietly in a pub with no one beside her. To some, this is freedom. To others, it is seen as risky, even improper. Phrases like, "she shouldn't be out that late," or "a woman like that is asking for trouble," still surface sometimes without ill intent, but always carrying an underlying assumption that a woman's safety depends on how much she restricts herself. And this is where the question must be reframed. Who is the one that needs to change? Women who are simply living their lives, or society which continues to place the burden of responsibility on their shoulders? Freedom in this context is not rebellion. It is not about deliberately breaking rules or provoking norms. Freedom is the ability to exist in public space without having to explain yourself, to walk at night without being judged, to enjoy a quiet evening, a drink, a conversation, without carrying the feeling that you are doing something wrong. In Scotland, many women do not choose nightlife to make a statement. They are not seeking attention. They simply need a moment to breathe time away from roles, expectations, and watchful eyes that are always ready to judge. And it is often this ordinariness that makes others uncomfortable. When a woman dresses well, laughs loudly in a bar at 11 p.m., and that makes people uneasy, perhaps the problem is not her. Perhaps it lies in a society that is more accustomed to controlling women's freedom than creating an environment safe enough that they do not have to shrink their lives. A mature society is not one where women are allowed to be free. It is one where women's freedom requires no justification, no explanation, and no apology. 4. Edinburgh architecture not meant to impress, but to endure. Edinburgh does not present its architecture as a spectacle. The city makes no effort to overwhelm you. Gray stone walls, low rooftops, steep slopes, and narrow streets exist not to be photographed, but to be walked through day after day across centuries. Edinburgh Castle sits on its volcanic rock more as an anchor than a showpiece. It represents not only power, but defense, the will to endure. From above, the city does not look glamorous. It looks structured to survive wind war and time. Below it, Old Town and New Town coexist without conflict. Old Town is tight and shadowed, carrying dense layers of history. New Town is open, balanced, and orderly. One holds the past with all its visible scars. The other reflects an attempt to organize daily life. Edinburgh does not erase the old to make room for the new. It keeps both breathing in two rhythms at once. The Royal Mile connects historic landmarks, but what truly matters is not the buildings themselves, but the people who pass through it each day. Life flows through history quietly, while history remains woven into ordinary routines. Architecture in Edinburgh is not built to impress. It does not need to be beautiful in a showy way. It is beautiful because it allows people to live with it, to lean against it, walk beside it, and let time continue to carve into its gray stone without hiding the marks it leaves behind. 5. The rhythm of life. Slow-ordered and with space, life in Edinburgh does not try to fill every moment with noise. The city moves with restraint. People respect personal space not out of coldness, but from an understanding that everyone needs room to exist fully. Less noise, less display, fewer unnecessary conversations. Everything happens in moderation. Mornings in Edinburgh begin quietly. A familiar cafe. A hot cup of coffee held in both hands. Steady footsteps on stone pavements. There is no rush, but no delay either. Here, punctuality is not pressure. It is a form of respect for others and for oneself. On weekends, the city slows down even more. Families walk through parks. A book opens on a wooden bench. Children play within a gentle calm. There is no need for big plans or distant escapes. Ordinary life is not seen as boring. It is understood as part of a good life. Art in Edinburgh does not stand above people. It is not hidden behind distant doors. Music drifts from street corners. Small performances unfold right on the pavement. A painting appears on an old stone wall. Art needs no explanation here. It exists like life itself, quiet, close, and always present. 6. Language, currency, and the small things that feel real. Life in Scotland is not defined by grand statements, but by small details, the kind you only begin to notice once you stay long enough. Language is one of them. English is everywhere, used in work, school, and daily life. Yet alongside it, Gaelic still exists, not loudly, not widely spoken, but present enough to remind you that identity here has never disappeared. You might hear Gaelic in a folk song, see it on a place name sign, or encounter it during traditional ceremonies. It is not something displayed for show, but something quietly preserved. A thin thread connecting the present to the past, showing that Scotland has always kept a part of itself intact, even as the world around it changes. Currency tells a similar story. Scotland uses the British pound, just like the rest of the United Kingdom. But the banknotes in your hand often look different, issued by Scottish banks carrying distinct designs. They hold the same value and are accepted nationwide, yet they bear a local mark. A small detail, but one that quietly signals that unity does not mean disappearance. For first-time visitors, Scottish banknotes can feel unfamiliar. Some hesitate before accepting them. For Scots, however, there is nothing unusual about it. No argument, no explanation. It is simply part of everyday life, and it is through these small details that Scotland begins to feel real. Not through loud declarations of independence, but through identity woven into daily routines, a language that endures, a banknote with a local face, a quiet pride that needs no words, steady, restrained, and unmistakably Scottish. 7. The sea and breathing space. In Edinburgh, the sea is not a special destination. It is part of everyday life. Portobello Beach sits right at the edge of the city, close enough to visit after work, familiar enough that it requires no planning. People walk, jog, sit, and watch the waves. There is no rush to enjoy it, no attempt to turn the moment into something memorable. Here, the sea exists as an extension of the city's own breathing rhythm. A little farther away lies Cremond Island, where nature sets its own rules. The stone path leading to the island appears only when the tide retreats and disappears quickly when the water returns. No loud warnings, no protective barriers, only time, water levels, and human awareness. This is not a place to conquer nature, but to listen to it and move in step with it. North Berwick carries a different pace. A small, tidy coastal town where the sea is present in every view. Children play near the sand. Adults sit quietly facing Bass Rock. The air feels slower, the wind stronger, and life more clearly defined. The sea here is not for entertainment. It is the backdrop against which daily life unfolds. The water in Scotland is cold even in summer, yet locals do not shy away from it. They swim, walk along the shoreline, and let the cold wind touch their skin. The sea does not need to be warm to feel familiar. It only needs to be there consistently. For many, the sea is a place to escape to. In Scotland, it is a place to live alongside, not romanticized, not distant, just an open space wide enough to breathe, close enough to return to every day. 8. Nature within the city. In Edinburgh, nature does not begin after a long journey. It does not exist out there separate from urban life. Nature here is remarkably close, sometimes just a few minutes walk away, right behind rows of familiar gray stone houses. Holyrood Park opens beside the city center, like a breathing space that needs no introduction. No high fences, no formal gates. Step across a single road and you leave the city's rhythm behind to meet windgrass and rugged stone slopes. The city is not cut off from nature. It blends into it naturally, without transition. Arthur's Seat rises within that landscape, not a towering mountain, but high enough to slow you down. Each step becomes a pause. Each glance back reveals a new view of Edinburgh spreading beneath a thin veil of mist. From here you see both the city's fragility and its calm endurance. Nothing overwhelms. Nothing demands attention. It simply reminds you that human life exists within something larger. A little farther on lies Blackford Hill, less famous, less crowded. Narrow dirt paths weave through wild grass and trees. The wind feels stronger, the air clearer. From the summit, the city's rooftops drift into soft fog in the distance. There is no noise, only the gentle feeling of stepping briefly outside everyday life. The forests around Edinburgh are not vast, dense, or dramatically wild, but they are enough. Enough to walk, enough to be silent, enough to feel the shift of seasons, light, and time. Nature here does not need to impress. It exists so that people can return to themselves. And perhaps that is what makes Edinburgh different. You do not have to leave the city to find nature. You only need to open a door, turn a familiar corner, and realize it has always been there right behind your home, waiting for you to slow down and breathe. Edinburgh, Glasgow, and different rhythms of life. Scotland is not defined by a single rhythm of life. Even across short distances between cities, you can feel completely different ways of living within the same country. Edinburgh carries a sense of order and depth. Classical, restrained, and somewhat reserved. Everything here seems to be held in its proper place, from architecture and public spaces to the way people behave. Edinburgh does not rush toward you. It stands still and waits for you to come to it. Glasgow is the opposite. This city lives on energy. Music, art, nightlife, and openness are visible everywhere. People in Glasgow speak quickly, laugh loudly, and strike up conversations without hesitation. If Edinburgh is silence with structure, Glasgow is constant movement, rougher around the edges, but deeply real. Between these two cities lies Stirling, smaller, slower, steeped in history. Stone streets, an ancient castle, and an unhurried pace make it feel like a pause, not meant to impress, but to remind you that the past still exists alongside the present. 3 cities, 3 rhythms, and that is why Scotland cannot be understood through a single image. It is a country where you do not have to love everything, you only need to find the rhythm that fits you. 10. Is Scotland right for you? Scotland does not try to please everyone. It does not promise easy comfort, constant excitement, or the fast pace many people are used to. If you need speed, noise, and constant attention, Scotland may feel cold not only because of the weather, but because of the way people keep their distance and choose to slow down. Here, life does not revolve around instant gratification. Cities do not push. People do not rush to open up. Silence is not seen as something to be filled, but as a natural part of everyday life. For some, that can feel uncomfortable, even unfamiliar. But if you are looking for order instead of chaos, a form of freedom that requires no proof or explanation, and a beauty built on endurance over time, then Scotland may reach you in a very different way. Quietly, without display, and it may stay with you for a long time. There are places that do not need to impress in order to be remembered. Scotland is one of them. If Scotland made you think in a different way, share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to continue these slow, reflective journeys.